Hi, I'm Chico Bronson, and I hate the hype around Bernie Sanders.
There's Chico Bronson.
Okay, so Bernie Sanders is running for the Democratic nomination for president in 2016, and boy, are people excited. I mean, not since the last guy, and the guy before him, and the guy before him, have the people of the internet been this excited. Oh yeah, and the guy before him, huh? Well, anyway, people are excited, but I'm not. I'm sorry. I'm not sold on the Sandman, and I'll tell you why. Okay, so it's fairly well known what Bernie Sanders stands for, and if you're curious about it, you can check him out on his website. Generally speaking, he stands for closing the wealth gap, making public college tuition free for all, women's rights, LGBT rights, immigrant rights, vets' rights, living wage, Wall Street reform. Yes, yes, yes. He's even for removing the influence of corporate interest over the political arena. He wants to repeal Citizens United. He wants to remove corporate personhood. Are you ready to feel the burn? No. I have an ideological bone to pick. Bernie is one of the longest serving independent congresspeople in American history. Since 1991 in the House and since 2013 in the Senate, Bernie has been a very proud independent. So why, when he finally gets a shot at the crown, does he go blue? Former House Representative Anthony Weiner, yep, that one, asked the same question in July. Representative Weiner recounts that he would constantly prod Bernie to join the Democratic Party.
I would have conversations with him on the floor of the House all the time when he was in the House. And I'd say, Bernie, come be a Democrat. He'd say, I will never be a Democrat. I don't believe it. And I'm a social Democrat. I'm a socialist, etc. Now he wants to be the standard bearer of my party.
Why is he asking for the nomination of a party he's always avoided joining? Well, I think I know why, guys, and the answer will surprise you. Money. The Democratic National Committee is the governing organization for the Democratic Party, okay? They take care of the day-to-day business, like developing a national political platform and fundraising and election strategies. This is important. This means it's important. Wikipedia explains that in a presidential election, the DNC supervises the National Convention and both independently and in coordination with the presidential candidate raises funds, commissions polls, coordinates campaign strategies. Following the selection of a party nominee, the public funding laws permit the national party to coordinate certain expenditures with the nominee. That's important, right? Expenditures means money. Now, Bernie has come out against corporate interests having any influence over political figures, right? But where does he think the DNC's money comes from? Let's find out. In the last presidential political cycle, which was Obama's re-election campaign, the top donators were Time Warner, Google, Microsoft. Wait, aren't those corporations? And look further, we have Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan and Chase, Comcast, News Corp? So wait, News Corp? The owner of Fox News, generally speaking, the mouthpiece of the Republican Party, is a major donor in the Democratic National Committee? Okay. Anyway, that's a whole lot of corporate money that Bernie gets to benefit from in the unlikely event that he wins the Democratic nomination. No, Chico, you're saying. That money isn't going directly to Bernie, right? I mean, he doesn't have a say over who donates to the DNC, and he certainly doesn't have a say over how they spend the money, nor should he. By the way, the majority of the money in 2012 went to advertising firm GMMB, which was tasked with Obama's media campaign. And you're right, he doesn't have a say. But his choice to run for the Democratic nomination, a choice that goes against decades of avoidance from Sanders himself, is kind of a complicit decision to accept that corporate money once the eventuality of it happened. But Chico, you're saying again, he can't possibly run as a third party candidate, which would be an alternative. He just doesn't have a chance. I unfortunately have to agree. I mean, Jill Stein is the Green Party candidate for 2016, and she has an almost identical platform as Bernie Sanders, minus or plus a few points on gun control or the military, and most of you just said, ooh, She was even arrested 2 or 3 times during the 2012 political campaign, protecting women from being foreclosed upon by the banks. She was even arrested trying to storm the 2012 national presidential debates because they only represented 2 parties. She's even suing the organization that organizes the public debates because they don't allow third-party candidates in. In fact, this country has a track record for not only not voting for the third party, but vilifying the third party as ruiners of elections. And we classify those that vote for third-party candidates as throwing your vote away. You're throwing your vote away. So you're correct, dear viewer, that Bernie doesn't have a chance in hell without the Democratic Party, but does that change the fact that he's basically misleading the public into believing some revolution narrative that will never come true? He's saying, I won't take corporate money. And then he's leaning back from the microphone and going, yeah. He's hoping that nobody's really going to bring up the point that I'm bringing up, which is he knows that he's going to have to compromise his ideals eventually. And he's making a conscious decision to continue to pursue the Democratic National Committee in order to achieve the presidency. And I'm sorry, there's a word in the English language that stands for somebody who compromises their principles as soon as a beneficial situation comes along, and that word is hypocrite. I would have also accepted opportunistic. Now, I believe that Bernie believes everything he says, and let's face it, some of the stuff he's saying is pretty fantastic. But if you talk the talk and you don't walk the walk, then what good are you going to be doing in enacting change in American government? What do you think is going to happen if he wins the nomination? No, don't spend any of the $21 million you spend on advertising for me. Don't spend any of the $15 million you spend on polling or the $20 million you spend on calls and letters in my name pushing my agenda. I think I'm gonna go it alone. If you truly believe that any politician, when faced with millions of dollars to help achieve one of the most esteemed political positions in the world, is going to turn it down, you're a little naive. But Chico, you're saying again, isn't that compromise a valid one if it yields that we have someone of a decent level of principle in the White House? You're saying that it's okay that Bernie takes corporate money knowing full well that it compromises his public message and his ideals, as long as he gets into the White House so he can enact some real change, right? So the ends justify the means. What kind of Machiavellian bullshit are you trying to pull? This isn't Game of Thrones. What's to stop President Sanders, or even Vice President Sanders, from violating all of his other ideals once a beneficial situation comes along? Why can't he just say something like, listen guys, I know this is not what you want to hear. It's selling out a little bit, but you have to do this in order to achieve anything in American politics. I'm sorry, it's just the way it is. Instead, he's pushing this fake revolution narrative, knowing full well he's going to have to accept corporate money eventually. He's deliberately misleading his public. Or maybe it's not deliberate, I'm willing to accept that, but if it's not deliberate, and some schmuck like me points out something that a man vying for a leadership position of the free world didn't see, do you really want that man leading you? I mean, I'm an absolute idiot. Hey guys, thanks for listening. Listen, if you want to comment, you can comment below, but I'm not going to read it because f*** your opinion. And you can subscribe as well, but I'm not going to care because f*** your social currency, okay? See you guys.